For 3 days, you're isolated. For 3 days, every hour, whatever it is, you go on a different event. You're listening to a different person. You're connecting with people in the hallways. So it's all about environment. You go to things like the Swiss, or, I like events, because for those 3 days, you've changed your entire fucking environment, which changes your mindset.
The Swiss Symposium will be held in Columbus, Ohio on October 28th and 29th. elitefts is co-hosting that. It's the first time that it's been brought to the U.S. The one question, and the reason why I'm doing this special announcement, I suppose, is we get asked almost every day about the reason why you would want to be there. And I'm sure as AJ and I speak going forward, there's going to be a lot of stories that are going to come about due to people that you've met being in certain locations and being physically present. When you're talking about a conference and a symposium like the Swiss Symposium, where you got 50, there might be 55 presenters right now, you got to remember each one of these presenters, if you were to pay them for an hour of their consulting time, you're going to be looking at anywhere between $200 and $300 per hour for that. If you were to go train with them or see them as a medical provider, you're going to be paying even more than that. Every time you're at a symposium or a conference, if it's Swiss or not, I highly encourage you to speak to the presenters in the hallway, speak to them at lunch, speak to them at dinner, correspond with them as much as you possibly can, because that's where your real value comes in. A 15-minute conversation with one of these people that charges $300 per hour breaks down really fast and adds up really, really fast over a period of 2 days to far exceed the $4.99 value that you're putting into there, and provide you the opportunity to get the questions that you specifically want to ask for yourself. So the ROI, or the return on any symposium or conference or event like this, far exceeds its value before we even talk about the presentations that happen. Businesses have been formed, Precision Nutrition being one, was formed through a Swiss Symposium, which John went on years later to sell that business for millions of dollars. That would not have happened with the networking that goes on there.
Most people don't understand the value of going to an event. They think I can get the information online. The reality is how many days is it? 3 or 4?
2, 3.
3.
Yeah.
So 3 days. For 3 days, you're isolated. For 3 days, every hour or half hour, whatever it is, you go on a different event. You're listening to a different person. You're connecting with people in the hallways. You sell live stream. Nobody sits there for 3 days and watches fucking a presentation every hour because they have their regular life. So I'll catch this later. You never fucking go back and watch that shit. You might watch a couple that you want to watch, but you don't put yourself in the environment. And an environment is a piece to everything. Like, if you want to be a good dad, right? I heard this from someone who's been married for like 50 years. He said, I decided that I would spend my weekends with my family. I wouldn't go play golf with the guys. I wouldn't go watch football on Sundays with the boys. Like, I would spend time with my family. That's why I'm a good husband and a good dad, because I invested in my family. It's the environment you're in. If you're in the environment where you're around your family, you're going to be a much better partner and father than you are if you're not in that environment, when you're a bunch of people. So it's all about environment. And if you put yourself in those environments, you go to things like the Swiss, or, I like events. I like running events. I like going to events, because for those 3 days, you've changed your entire fucking environment, which changes your mindset. Now, the difficult thing is when you go back to your regular environment, how do you shatter the routine? Right? And that's where you have to get really creative, and you might have to move where your office is. You might have to you might have to switch things up to create a change in what you is. When I did the bodybuilding, I lived right by Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
I took the long way home, so I wouldn't drive by Krispy Kreme because I could not drive. Most days I could get by, but there'd always be 1 or 2 days a week that I'd fucking pull in and get a donut. Mm-hmm. I'd see that fucking red light on for,
Yeah.
So I said, I just can't drive past this place anymore. So I had to change my route home to stop the temptation.
Well, something else about the events that it just popped in my head as you were saying that is, of course, on the live stream, you're not going to, like you said, you're not going to watch all of them. But when you go to a live event, if it's business-wise, marketing-wise, or a Swiss Symposium, you're going to find yourself in presentations that you know nothing about. and it will expose you to things that you never thought you could use before. So say you go to a business conference, for instance, and you end up sitting in a HR,
Yep.
Seminar. And all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm really vulnerable here. If I don't fix this,
Yep.
I could lose my entire business. But you never would have been in that environment
Right.
to hear that before, where at Swiss, they could end up sitting in, a sport medicine thing, as a just power lifter and think, oh shit, I didn't think about that. Where that would be a live stream, they would never even bother with.
Right.
They're just like you said, they're going to pick the ones that they like and discount the other ones. Where at a live event, that's really kind of not an option.
And the thing with knowledge is not what you learn, it's what you use. So, early in my event attending experiences, I would notebooks of fucking notes.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd go back on my shelf and I never fucking look at them again. Right. And what I've learned over time is like when I learn something, I have to figure out how to apply it right away. And then I got to share those results, good or bad. And then now it's actually learned, and that's the thing. When you go to an event, you go live, like you can take notes and stuff, but you learn so much about things that you wouldn't take notes on, just to how an event's ran and how it's structured and how people you meet and things like that. You don't get that experience, and by being there, it changes it. And that's the kind of the biggest thing, like I think with anything is like, if there's something you want and you want it bad enough, you just have to find somebody that knows how to get there. And then don't question that path. And Louis would tell stories about different guys that got kicked out or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And what it really came down to is they didn't train fucking Westside. They wanted to train a different fucking way. You're at fucking Westside Barbell. You can't train somebody else's system there because you think it's better. You have to trust that Louis has the best system,
mm-hmm.
right? Or not. What doesn't make sense is taking something from Block, taking something from Conjugate, taking something from Metal Militia and saying, we're going to blend this together. No, each person has figured out a system. You don't want to try to have a hybrid. Like, just pick one and stick to it. And then when you get where you want to go, like, what you'll find is your customization is based on what works for you, and that's kind of like with business, with anything. It's like, let's say you want to become you want to own your own gym one day,
mm-hmm.
right? Well, go work at a place where someone has their own gym and ask them to mentor you, work there, build your clientele up. Probably they'll want to partner with you when you want ready to open your own place, but if you're honest from the beginning, like, you're going to have someone who's going to teach you all the things you don't know, versus what most guys do is they go work for someone else. They get, and this is the gym owner's fault, but they throw all the clients at the personal trainer because they don't want to fucking do it anymore. Those clients build a relationship with that person. That person goes, wait a minute, I'm getting paid this much an hour and they're paying this much. If I took half of these people on my own, I'd be making this much money a month, with no understanding of overhead and rent and,
mm-hmm.
and utilities and then all the other stuff that come with business. Like, even just filing taxes, you got to pay someone to help you with that. Right. So because they don't get the mentorship, they don't do the internship, they don't attend these things where people can share that knowledge with them. And a lot of it comes from, again, everybody wants to jump to the result without the hard work. It seems to be a big thing. People aren't willing to put in the effort and the time. Everybody thinks there's a shortcut, and when you realize there's no fucking shortcuts. The shortcut is like someone else has a path that you can follow, but it's still going to take hard work and time, because that doesn't sell. That's not, it's not, the get rich slow system never made it,
So I want to quit babbling about that. There's a link in the description.